The 560th edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pick'em for a chance to win 100 times your entry in NBA, MLB, MMA, NHL, golf, and more. Sign up today at UnderdogFantasy.com using promo code MMA SGPN to get a 100% deposit match.
Howdy ho, DeGenerinos. Welcome to episode 560 of the MMA Gambling Podcast and the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. This one's going out to Irish Dave, a friend of the podcast, who hit a big parlay and apparently thanked us for it, or at least gave us credit for it. So probably Gumby is who we really gave credit to, but I'll take credit as well. I'm one of your hosts, Jeff Chalks Fox. I'm known as sometimes the Gumby Killer. I've self-coined myself. I won't be killing Gumby this episode because this is one of our regional MMA episodes, and we lean on Gumby for these episodes. He knows all about regional MMA. Perhaps the leading authority, I'm going to put it out there, the leading authority in regional MMA is our Gumby Vreeland. So this is all about Brave. We haven't not covered Brave before. We're going to, I don't think since the YouTube.
We've done one of those. Yeah, we've done one of those like shows where we did a half and half because we didn't have enough to fill one, and we didn't think any of the cards were stacked enough to talk about all of the fights. So yeah, we covered Brave fights before, but I don't think we've had a Brave themed episode until this one.
And that sick voice you hear is Daniel Gumby Vreeland, the regional MMA god. Even sick, he's going to make some winning picks for us. So you want to tell us a little bit about Brave for people who have not been exposed to it before?
Yeah, so Brave is an organization out of the Middle East. I believe it's headquartered in Jordan, if I'm being completely honest.
Bahrain, actually.
Is it Bahrain?
Yeah, Bahrain. Manama, Bahrain.
They do a lot of shows in like Jordan, Lebanon, but they've also been up in like Czech Republic, Romania, and stuff like that. So like they travel all over the area, and they are in a place where I was kind of hoping Jeff was going to get to tell us where it was this week.
I will.
And I was going to see if he would sweat trying to figure out where it actually was.
It is hot in Canada right now, so I'm sweating anyhow. Yeah. So usually like you said, they're Middle East, but this one they're in Mauritius, Saint Pierre. I know it's an island. How do you say that, Gumby? Go ahead.
Right. You're fine. So do you know where that is?
I'm guessing probably like outside of Africa somewhere in the ocean.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, it's just off the coast of Madagascar. So it's like
there you go.
It's an island off of an island for the most part. Yeah.
I'm actually pretty good at geography, to tell you the truth, Gumby. So yeah, it's George St. Pierre and Mauritius is where they're handling this. So have they had events in Africa before? They have a lot of African fighters on this fight card. So I figured it was in the African area is where they're at. Do you know if they've hosted any events in Africa proper?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they've had ones in like Northern Africa and like the Algeria area. There's 82 events, so I don't remember every single one of them. But like, they've had a lot of and a lot of guys for people who are watching this and they're like, why care about Brave CF? Not only do they have betting odds, so obviously we're interested in it a little bit in this show, but this is also where Khamzat Chimaev came from. Khamzat Chimaev was a Brave CF guy. Also like maybe some like lesser known UFC guys like Kareem Abdul-Al-Sawadi came from here. He was the champ there for a little bit. So like, there are people there, and the guy who's main eventing was a damn good UFC fighter as well. So yeah, there's lots to like about Brave CF.
Yep. There you go. So that is Brave CF. We're going to cover that very, very shortly. If you're into baseball, like Gumby and I are, then you're going to want to watch and or listen to the MLB Gambling Podcast, as we do. They got everything for the hardcore baseball fan or just a degenerate, which probably is all of us watching and listening right now. If you're looking for if you're in the office looking for some afternoon action, then they've got you covered. MLB Gambling Podcast. whether you're degenerate or a hardcore baseball fan or both, either way, you're going to want to make sure you subscribe to the MLB Gambling Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, and of course on YouTube as well. All right, before we jump into the picks, because this is a short fight card, we had five fights lined up to break down for you. One of them just fell through right before we recorded. And then when you have 6 fights listed total on this here fight card, I don't know if they're going to add more last minute, but as of now, that's all they got. How did you do? I want to say we. I'll say we if we did good. I'll say you if you did bad. How were the picks over this past weekend in the regional scene?
I had a little bit of a rougher week, particularly because Octagon didn't go well for me. They had one of canceled fights, the 5 that we broke down, and I only had one win out of there, and it was just my super favorite, Luthando. So not a great time for Octagon. And then LFA had it was just I did well on LFA. The biggest problem, it was profitable, but it was 2 out of 3 because Icaro Brito got canceled. And then another underdog that I really liked, Djiroun, who was fighting Marcos Degsley. That fight didn't wind up happening either. So, it was a lot of canceled fights, which wound up stinking a little bit. But overall, down a touch, but not a bad week in general.
And on the year or lifetime, you're still up. But loads of money, right?
Yeah, we're still up like a dozen units, so we're good.
Is that fan too loud? Can you hear that fan, Gumby?
Well, I can hear that fan, and I can't imagine our listeners love it.
You never know. All right, it's off. I'll sweat through another episode. It's hot in Canada for a change. All right, Brave CF 82, Brave Combat Federation is going down in St. Pierre. Mauritius. Which one is it? I'm saying it wrong again. It feels like
I don't know.
You don't know either, do you? Hot shot.
No, I know where it is though. So
yeah, exactly. I told you where it was too. It's a little speck in the ocean outside of Africa, between Africa and Australia. If you really want to go far, it's going down this Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern time for us. How do you watch Brave? It's not on Fight Pass. Is it through their own stuff?
They've had a couple of different ways to watch it, but I'm pretty sure their website is real clear. And a lot of times you've been able to watch it on. It seems like it's similar to Octagon. There's like always a way to watch it, but also like their website's a good default.
It's going down in the Côte d'Or National Sports Complex. 6 fights, as I said, on the fight card. Now we're going to do the top 4. We lost a fight going into this recording, but hey, we can only give you picks for what they have lined up for us. And as Gumby said, the odds for these are usually pretty easy to get.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and they post early too. So.
All right, there you go. That's what we'd like to hear. Featherweights, we are going to start with 3 5-minute rounds. Oh, there's so many good names in here, isn't there? Ylies, Djiroun from France. And then Ananias, Mulumba from, I believe, an African country. Let me tell you which one. It's a cool flag. Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo. So 3 5-minute rounds at featherweight. I think Gumby picked this card, so I have some fun saying the names.
I can't wait for the next fight. I'm so jacked.
Oh boy, that's not so hard because there's UFC fighters with an ending like that at least. Metal Mulumba, 6-1, 2 knockouts, 4 submissions. So he's finished everyone. He's never been finished himself. This is his debut in Brave. He's won 6 straight fights. He's not lost since April 2022. Was regional champion. Used to fight it up a weight class at lightweight. 7 years younger than Djiroun. Tupac is his nickname. That's I knew he wasn't dead. Tupac is alive. 21-8, 3 knockouts, 10 submissions. He's been knocked out twice. 2-2 in Brave. However, he's won 2 straight and 3 of 4. He went 0-2 in PFL. He's fought at lightweight, was regional champion, 2011 pro MMA debut, an inch of height. No odds yet for this. Maybe before we jump into it, how hard, easy, moderate was it for you to get film and study all these fighters on this card?
Braves post a lot of stuff. And then they, a fair amount of them have fought for promotions other than Brave that made it easy. Like Djiroun fought for PFL.
Right.
He fought Mamed Magomedov. And if you watch that fight, that's actually a huge piece of my handicap here on Djiroun. He previously fought Mamed Magomedov. He looked kind of terrible defending the takedown. And granted that's a high level opponent on a very big stage, so you have to take that into account too. But I think the fact that he's been in PFL and he's had a good record otherwise, I think he's going to come in here as the favorite. I'm going to say like -200 to Mulumba. and I actually like Mulumba here. I think, for me, the biggest piece of it is that, like I said, I saw Djiroun have a little bit of trouble with that takedown over and over again. I'm not crazy impressed with him on the feet. He's definitely better on the feet than he is on the mat. But I think Mulumba is, first of all, a little bit faster on the feet. He's got a little steam on his punches when he does land them. But also when he shoots takedowns, he's very tenacious with him. He's not a guy who shoots a takedown and fails and backs away and lets his hands go again. He's a guy who's like a dog on a bone with his takedowns. And, to see Djiroun give up a whole bunch of takedowns to Magomedov, to see him have trouble getting up, to see him not really have any ideas on how to get up, like he wasn't really looking for underhooks or putting butterfly hooks in there or anything like that. He just kind of accepted those positions a lot. I think that's trouble against Mulumba, who, again, like I said, he is going to keep trying until he gets a takedown. And then if he does get that takedown, I think he's going to have a lot of success on top. So, I expected Djiroun to come in as a sizable favorite here. And if he does, I really like the dog money here on Mulumba.
All right. So what do you think we're going to get him for approximately?
I said like plus 170, plus 175.
Okay, cool. Good enough. Good start to the event here for sure. All right. We are moving to which weight class we're moving to here. Down flyweights. Bidzina Gavashelishvili. See, it's not that hard, Gumby. He's from Georgia. Luthando Biko. He's from South Africa. Not Russia, excuse me, South Africa. So 3 5-minute rounds at flyweight. Biko. Shorty is the nickname. We have 2 shorties on this. We're only doing 4 fights. Half of them have a fighter named Shorty in it. This shorty is 12-3 with 3 knockouts. He's been knocked out once, submitted once. This is his debut in Brave. He's won 4 straight and 7 of 8. He's not fought in over a year, April 2023. He's not lost in September 2021. Was regional champion. Used to fight at featherweight and bantamweight. An inch of reach over Gavashelishvili. Gavashelishvili is 13-3. 2 knockouts, 6 submissions. He's been knocked out once, submitted once. 1-0 in Brave, 3-1 over his last 4, 8-2 over his last 10, including winning his last fight. He's fought at lightweight, 9 years younger than Biko, 5 inches taller.
Yeah, so Gavashelishvili is going to definitely come in here as a favorite. I'm going to say like -250 to Biko. I'm like, a plus 210, 220 turnaround here. And I'm going to go with Gavashelishvili. I think, like similar to what I was talking about with Mulumba, Mulumba is a tenacious wrestler. He's a guy who's like a dog on a bone until he gets a takedown. Gavashelishvili is a guy who his chain work is the most impressive part. It's not that he keeps going for it. It's not that he doesn't give up. It's that it goes from one thing to another so fast that Biko won't know what's coming. He'll go from a single to a double to a trip to a back to the single, and he'll finish whatever it is he needs to finish. Whereas Biko's more like a guy who is digging for those grips underneath your hips, and he'll do that for 2 minutes until he eventually gets it. But yeah, Gavashelishvili is just like very smart wrestler. In addition to that too, he's got a nice rear hand that he throws, like almost as he's dipping into the takedown sometimes, or as a fake to the takedown. Like he'll fake the takedown, he'll throw the overhand right, which can be really effective. For Biko, I think his wrestling and specifically his wrestling defense, not terrible. I think there's less nuance to what he does in the wrestling game, being that he knows how to block a takedown, but is he 3 steps ahead of his opponent like Gavashelishvili is? Not really. He's a guy who, does the next right thing, but maybe isn't setting up the third from next right thing. And also in addition to that too, when he does get to the ground, it seems like he is just not as skilled at jiu-jitsu. He doesn't know what the right move is to make sure he stays out of a submission. In fact, sometimes it looks like he's inviting a submission attempt because he thinks it would create a scramble. And I think with Gavashelishvili, I think that's a nightmare because that guy is going to grab a neck and finish it if he needs to. And more likely to, he'll just ground and pound him out. So yeah, I'm going to go with Bidzina Gavashelishvili. And I think probably -250.
All right. Fantastic. Before we move on, going to talk about Underdog Fantasy. The NBA playoffs are here, and our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, wants to make it a lot more interesting. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing the pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats like points, rebounds, assists, and so much more. Make entries of all basketball, or you can mix and match across your other favorite sports. Yes, UFC is on there, and you can win up to 100 times your money, and it's a ton of fun. You can get lots of Underdog Fantasy articles, info, tips on sportsgamblingpodcast.com. And check out their app. Their site is very easy to use as well. And new customers get a pick'em special in the lobby when they sign up. And there's always specials in there. So always go in there and check it out. Underdog will also be running a ton of different promos, bonus cash, airdrops, specials, giveaways, and more throughout the NBA playoffs. Make sure to follow Underdog Picks on Twitter. That's at Underdog Picks. Keep an eye out. And Underdog is available in 30 plus states, including California, Texas, and Canada. They also just launched Champions, their player versus player format in Florida. Most important thing is make sure you sign up with our promo code MMASGPN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. Is Underdog Fantasy, promo code MMASGPN. Alrighty, let's move on to our co-main event of the evening. This is a lightweight class promotion predominantly, is it not?
No, they have the bigger weight classes too, but I think part of there's seemingly a much larger contingency of fighters in the African nations that are being represented here, the South Africas and the Democratic Republic of the Congos and whatnot. There's a lot larger of a contingency of lightweight fighters in there. But like when they hold fights in like Romania, no, there's plenty of heavyweights up in Romania. So,
all right, cool. Speaking of African fighters, we have one in the next fight at bantamweight. Nicholas Hwende, he is from Zimbabwe. He will be fighting Hurshed Nazarov. He is from Tajikistan. This is 3 5-minute rounds at bantamweight. Nazarov, good boy is the nickname. Don't we have another guy with a nickname like that?
Not that I know.
Someone who's. I think there is. I think someone's nickname translates to that. But anyhow, this is a good boy Nazarov. 9-0-1, 4 knockouts, 1 submission. He's never been finished in a fight, obviously, because he's never lost a fight. This is his debut in Brave. He's won 5 straight. However, he's not fought since December 2021. He's fight at flyweight, 4 years younger than Hwende, 4 years younger. I said that, inch taller. Hwende, 7-1, 3 knockouts, 1 submission. Never been finished in a fight as well. 1-1 in Brave. Won his last fight, was regional champion. And that is all I got.
So I think with the name on Nazarov and the record, you see an undefeated guy with an OV end to his name. I think you're going to see him as a big favorite. Let's say -225, probably plus 200 on the return for Hwende. And I'm actually going to take Hwende here. I think Nazarov, the last fight I watched of his, which granted at this point is 3 years ago. So first of all, you almost have to handicap that in there too, right? It's that like he could be rusty. I thought his takedown game looked kind of poor. It looked like he was really struggling to get it. And I personally wasn't really all that impressed with his speed on the feet either. He looked kind of slow when he's striking. And Hwende, on the other hand, I think he's a little bit hesitant to throw. Like, I don't like how long it takes him to make decisions about throwing. But when he does, he's very fast. He's got nice kicks, particularly like the left kick to just underneath the rib cage, or just to the bottom of the rib cage underneath the arm. I really like that on him. They're fast, they're kind of sneaky, and I really like his jiu-jitsu game. I think it's got the problem of being too risky. Like when you got a guy. I used to say this about Ray Borg all the time before Ray Borg kind of disappeared off the face of the map. Like, he's got really good jiu-jitsu, and if he just toned back the aggression a little bit, it would be sensational jiu-jitsu. Hwende's not at that level, but like his jiu-jitsu would be so much more fun to talk about if he stopped taking bad positions, or stopped getting himself too high on a back mount or something like that. Like, he's got all of the pieces. He just needs to like cool it just a little bit. But I think if Nazarov is having trouble with the takedowns, like that might wind up playing into the favor of somebody who is maybe a little extra risky or something like that. Like, he might wind up with some back positions or stuff like that. I think Hwende is going to be a little faster on the feet. I think as long as he stuffs the takedowns here, you might wind up seeing him at dog money, and it's probably worth it here.
All right. Fantastic. We like our dog money around here. We like our dogs in real life as well. All right. Main event for the BCF Bantamweight Championship. So we got a title fight and a name that the hardcores will definitely know. Nkosi Ndebele, that's probably a name you don't know that I probably butchered. He is from South Africa. All the flags in Africa are fantastic. For you flag nerds out there, fighting against Jose Torres from the United States. You may know him by his nickname, Shorty Torres. He's the more famous of the shorties on this fight card. This is 5 rounds, 135 pounds, Bantamweight Championship. Shorty Torres, our challenger, 12-2-1, 4 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's been knocked out twice, 4-1-1 in Brave. Used to be the champion. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. He's gone 4-1-1 over his last 6. He did lose his last fight. He went 1-1 in the UFC. Used to fight at flyweight, was a regional champion. Ndebele, king. If you're the champ, you can call yourself king. He's 7-2 with 5 knockouts. He's been submitted once. 7-2 in Brave. He's a champion. He's got 1-1 with Torres. So this is basically the rubber match. He's got 6-1 over his last 7. He won his last fight. Torres retired in the last fight, and Ndebele won the title there. Gumby hopefully can give us more info behind that. Used to fight at featherweight, 6 inches taller than Torres, 4 inches of reach. Go ahead, break her down.
Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly, I'm pretty sure Shardy quit that fight based on like I want to say it was like a facial injury, if I'm not mistaken. Like he had a bone broken somewhere. Excuse me. And Ndebele lost their first fight in kind of a controversial decision, which is why you saw the rematch right after it. And then that's like a kind of controversial finish to the second one, which is why we're winding up with a third fight here. For me, this one boils down to Ndebele, who is seemingly a much more impactful striker. When he's on the feet and he lets his hands go, he's definitely going to do more damage to Shorty than Shorty does to him, which is why we saw Shorty get stopped the last time, right? On the other hand, if Shorty can get his wrestling game going, which he has at all kinds of different intervals in these fights, if Shorty can get his wrestling game going, I'm not sure that Ndebele is going to have anything to deal with that. He's stuffed takedowns before in the past. He's looked good when he's gotten back up. But if Shorty stuck with it, I'm not sure he'd know how to deal with it. Because there are times in these last, what have they fought? 8 rounds at this point. There's times in these last 8 rounds where Shorty seems to commit to it and then gives up. And goes back to his striking and seems to lose there. I wish he would just stick with it. And I'm kind of hoping and kind of thinking that's what he's going to do here. So given their past, which has been weird, I do expect Ndebele to be a slight favorite. First of all, he won the last one. Second of all, his win is maybe a touch more convincing, being that one was like a questionable decision and the other one was like, oh, no, he quit. But I don't think it's going to be a wide line. I think we're going to see like -120 plus 110 on the return or plus 100 with Torres being the slight dog. I do like Torres. I think if he comes into this fight with the game plan, with saying to himself, I'm not going to stop wrestling until I'm in a position I like, I think he's going to do well. People forget this is a guy who had a sensational run through the UFC. He looked really good. He's the only guy in like the last 100 years to beat Jared Brooks. Granted, it was by a really weird slam when Jared Brooks dropped himself on his head. But he also beat Amir Albazi. So like this is a guy who can beat Amir Albazi, who can grapple a little bit with Jared, the Monkey King, Brooks. And I think Ndebele has a lot of things that he does well, particularly, like I said, the striking, the range, how he uses his footwork. I just don't know that that'll matter if Torres commits to the wrestling. So I'm going to take Torres, slight dog here, probably. I'd probably take him into being a slight favorite in addition to that. Like, I hope he comes in as a slight dog so that I can exploit that. But like, even if he was -140, I'd probably be an in shorty.
Fantastic. Let's recap. Possibly we have 3 out of 4 bouts we may have maybe in on the dogs here. He's got Torres. He's got Hwende. He's got Gavashelishvili. He's got Mulumba. Is that right?
That's right.
And the 2 other fights, we don't have enough intel to give any picks out for, right?
Yeah, I probably, if I could have done a little background, we had 5 prepared for this one. There was a fight that dropped out right around time. If I had time to put it up, but pretty much as we were loading up this video to start recording, I looked to the Tapology and they had just canceled that fight. So unfortunately, we maybe can chat in the Discord. Maybe this is a good time to tell them how they could do that.
The lightning round will move to the Discord this week for this episode. But hey, we're not miracle workers, especially on short fight cards taking place on an island in the middle of the ocean somewhere, right? The Discord is sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. People are always asking Gumby's advice in there, so they don't care about what I have to think, but that's fine. Go in the Discord. I told you how to do that. Twitter is SGPN MMA. He's at Gumby Real, and I'm at Jeff Fox Writer there. And on Instagram, you can hit us in the comments on YouTube. Make sure you are subscribed. Subscriptions keep going up. We're well past 500 now on our way to 1,000. That's the goal. So that would be MMA Gambling Podcast on YouTube. Catchy name, right? My Substack, my subscription's going up there too. Thank you, everyone who is subscribed. At the very least, a free subscription will get you into my weekly pick'em contest. That's moneymma.substack.com. Gummy's got another podcast. Like, this isn't enough. Having to talk to me. He's got another podcast with another co-host who struggles to say fighter names. That would be the Top Turtle MMA podcast. Do we know who's on this week, or is it up in the air?
Yeah, I'm talking to Discord favorite Tabitha Ritchie, who is on UFC St. Louis this weekend, as well as Billy Goff.
There's going to be a lot of fans here in the Discord who are going to be happy about hearing Tabitha Baby Shark Ricci is on there. And of course, the mothership, sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord, not Discord, store. So you can dress cool like Gumby and myself, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. So we can crush corporate gambling. Gumby, bid the people farewell until tomorrow.
All right, I'm Dana Gumby Vreeland. He's Jeff Shorty Fox, and we will see you tomorrow.